In the Santum Sanatorium in New York, there lived a magical couple whose love for each other was so strong that there was nothing that would keep them apart. Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange and his Sorceress Supreme Clea Strange, his wife. But the two wasn't alone. Living with them was little Clara, the baby female mindless one that Doctor Strange had adopted from the Dark Lord Dormammu in the Dark Dimension not too long ago. Clea Strange had just finished putting little Clara down for an early afternoon nap when she felt her uncle Dormammu communicated to her through telepathically. She stepped into the hallway, placed both her hands on the sides of her head. After Clea did that, she began to close her eyes. After she closes her eyes, there was a bright light, and within the matter of seconds, Dormammu appeared in front of her. "Hello, Clea, my niece. Happy holidays," Dormammu said, in a cheery mood. Clea crosses her arms. "What got you in such a cheery mood, Uncle?" she said in wonder. She has never seen her uncle in a happy mood, such like this. "I'm glad you asked, Clea. I have yet to finish attending a holiday party with my new wife, and you won't believe how much fun I have," Dormammu said, in his cheery mood. Clea then began to laugh. Dormammu then looked at her, wondering why she was laughing. "My dear niece, why are you laughing?" he said in wonder. "Sorry if I laughed, Uncle. It's just my usually you are Ebenezer Scrooge bah humbug mood during this time of the year," Clea said, remembering last Christmas party that she attended with him. She remembered how Dormammu would go on berserk in rage, causing his eyes to the purple, green, and black stuff to glow. She just couldn't shake those awful memories from her mind. Dormammu sighed. He knew how much his niece missed the old Dormammu, but he was new and improved, especially now how Doctor Strange reminded him how precious the earth was and everything to him and everyone. "It's okay, Clea. I know you missed the old me, but you and your fiancé reminded me that I shouldn't be that harmful, especially since that I almost had an earth consumed by the dark dimension," Dormammu said, in explanation as he remembered the fight between him and Doctor Strange. Clea understood what he meant by that. "Why did you need to talk to me, Uncle Dormammu?" he said, now beginning to wonder why her uncle was trying to communicate to her telepathically. "I'm glad you asked, my dear. I'm putting you in charge of the new program that I have in place for the mindless ones," Dormammu said, in explanation as it was filled with bubbly excitement. Clea looked at him confused. She hadn't heard about the new project that Dormammu has in place, especially since she was so busy falling in love with Doctor Strange. Dormammu then looked and saw the two confused expression on her face. "What's wrong with me, my dear? You looked as if you were confused about something," he said, his voice being really calm. "In fact, Uncle Dormammu, I am. Why didn't you tell me about this? Why did you keep this from me? I'm your niece," Clea said, her blue eyes now beginning to glow purple. She was now enraged. Dormammu then grabbed a hold of her and held her down close to him. "What makes you think you're doing? Put me down," Clea said, as she was fidgeting to try to get loose from him, but he had a tight grip on her. Dormammu knew that he had to take a drastic action. He used his magic, and within a matter of seconds, Clea, the wife of Doctor Strange and the Sorceress Supreme, was in a diaper and half blue and half onesie. Clea was still in range. "How dare you do this to me, Uncle? I am no baby," she said as she was getting really fussy and cranky. "I know that you're not a baby, Clea, but I don't want your husband finding out about your behavior with me. I'll tell him if I have to," Dormammu said, teasing her. "You wouldn't dare," Clea said, feeling very tentative to do something to her uncle Dormammu. "Oh, my dear, I wouldn't have it any other way than to tell your husband about how you're acting towards me," Dormammu said, with a smirk on his face. Clea then began to cry. "I'm so sorry, Uncle Dormammu. I'm sorry. Please don't tell Stephen," she said, pleading, begging for him not to come and tell her husband, Doctor Strange, about her behavior. Dormammu sighed in defeat. He knew that he shouldn't hurt her. "All right, my dear. I won't come down here and tell him, but next time you do this to me, I will have no other choice but to come and tell him. Okay? Dormenu said as he used his magic and transformed Clea back into her normal sorceress clothing. Though still, she felt really wet. Dormenu instantly knew what to do. He used his magic and soon Clea was in a silk and satin underwater. Clea smiled. Thank you, Uncle Dormentu, she said, smiling at him. Dormenu chuckled as he put her back down on the ground. You're very welcome, my dear niece, he said, with gratitude in his voice, and the purple glow disappeared and from Clea's eyes were back to their normal color. Tell me about the new program that you have going on down there in the dark dimension, Uncle, Clea said, now really eager to know about her Uncle Dormentu's new project. You see, Clea, I haven't been exactly nice to my mindless ones lately, Dormenu said, began to explain before Clea began to interrupt. Pardon me, Uncle Dormenu, but in one universe you were set free from the dark dimension and your mindless ones attacked Superhero City. In fact, during that time, you were also focused on getting those infinity fractals, Clea said, remembering. Dormenu chuckled. That's because your husband went crazy, and he was the one who opened the portal into the dark dimension, he said in explanation. Clea then began to get quiet. Anyways, some of the mindless ones have been overworked lately, and not to mention that the new ones are coming in, which is why I needed you to come to the dark dimension with me to help me getting them settled in. Dormenu said in explanation as Clea and her held their arms crossed. She wasn't so sure if her uncle was being serious or not. Dormenu then saw the expression on her face. My dear Clea, I am being serious about this. Soon the dark dimension will be overpopulated with those mindless ones, and you wouldn't want them to go out and attack New York, do you? He said with a seriousness and concern in his voice. Clea sighed. I suppose not, especially since Stephen and I are raising one mindless together, she said, remembering about little Clara, the baby female mindless one that Dr. Strange adopted from her uncle. Dormenu smiled when he heard about little Clara being mentioned. How's my little granddaughter? He said, looking at Clea. Clea smiled. She's all right, Uncle. Stephen and I are teaching her many things every day and night, she said in explanation. Dormenu smiled. After you help me get with that program, I can come and see my granddaughter and your husband, he said, getting a hold of himself. Clea smiled. I like that very much. Clea's eyes blinked open while she was standing in the hallway near her little Clara's room. She looked around. She was now back in reality. Now I need to get downstairs, open the gateway to the dark dimension, and head in. Uncle Dormentu is waiting for me. I can't let him down, Clea said to herself. She was now levitating towards the staircase that led down towards the main lobby. When she got down to them, she slowly but surely levitated down to the floor. After Clea got down to the floor, she was just about to start opening the gateway when she sensed that Dr. Strange was watching her. Clea then turned around and saw that she was now seeing her Sorcerer Supreme. Stephen, darling? What a surprise! What are you doing here? She said, quite a little surprised that her Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Strange, was watching her. Dr. Strange began to levitate down to her. When he got down to her, he put his arms around her. Hello, Clea, my Sorceress Supreme, Dr. Strange said, who is now giving her a kiss. Clea blushed and gave him a kiss back. Hello, my Sorceress Supreme, she said, after giving him a kiss, and then she was now looking into his blue eyes. Dr. Strange looked at her eyes, but he could sense that she was up to something. The question was, what? Clea, darling, there's something that you're not telling me, Dr. Strange said, beginning to get really suspicious of her. Clea chuckled nervously. What do you mean? She said, and now she had a nervous expression on her face. I could tell you're not telling me something by the way you are acting right now. Please tell me, darling, Dr. Strange said, hoping that she'll open up to him. Clea sighed. All right, Stephen, you got me. I talked with my Uncle Dormenu, she said, beginning to confess. Dr. Strange was about to open his mouth and say something when Clea put a finger to his lips. Let me explain, Clea said, now removed her finger from her husband's lips. Dr. Strange looked at her, with his arms crossed. All right, darling, you have my attention, he said, looking at her with sympathetic in his eyes. Clea sighed in relief. My Uncle Dormento has been working on a new project in the dark dimension. Has something to do with helping the mindless ones settling in. He needs me to be the head of the project, she said in explanation while looking into his eyes with sincerity. Dr. Strange looked at her with concern. The dark dimension was a dark place with creatures living in its depths. How long will you be gone for? Dr. Strange asked, as Clea was now about to leave his embrace. Clea then began to think back to what her Uncle Dormento had told her, but her uncle wasn't specific on the life time frame. I'm not sure, but while I'm gone, I need you to take care of Carla, she said, giving him a quick kiss. Dr. Strange watched as Clea opened the gateway parts to the dimension of the dark and walked in. The gateway closed behind her. After the gateway closed, Dr. Strange looked up the stairs. He hoped that Carla was okay. Okay, so that was the first chapter of Winter Storm Magic, a fan fiction written by SorceressMagic. She also goes by Stardash Studios, which of course she made a new account from what I've been told. I don't know what happened to her other one. I think she can't get access to her other one or something. I don't know what really happened, but okay. What did I personally think of this story? Well, it's a good one. I personally like this one. I thought it was well made. It was perfect. It's a pretty good startup. I could definitely say that. This is a definitely good startup to the first one. And I personally really thought it was a really good story. So far I really have to say I like it. And I also have to say that it's a pretty good story. I personally really enjoy how well made this story is. It's a really great, fantastic story. It's pretty good so far. SorceressMagic, you did a pretty good job. So there's definitely with that going for it. I'm really liking how well made this is. I like the concept of it. It's pretty good. So with that being the case and with that being said, I'm just going to sit here and just say right now that this is actually a pretty good story. I personally really enjoyed how well made this story is. I personally really like how this is really well made. So, yeah, I am going to sit there and say right now that this is honestly a really good chapter. I personally liked it. I thought it was well made. And, there is a few grammatical errors in this story I did notice. But other than that, I didn't think it was that bad at all. I thought it was really, really interesting. So anyways, I will leave a link into this story in the description down below. So if any of you guys want to go take a look at it, you're more than welcome to do so. So with that being said and that being the case, I personally like this story. So it's still good so far. I'm really excited and really hope that the next one is going to be just as good. So yeah, I'm hoping for that. So anyways, with that being said and that being the case, I'm going to sit here and say right now that this is just simply my own personal opinion. And if you disagree with me, that's fine too. I will give the final rating of this story when the story is completed. So there's definitely that. So anyways, what did you guys personally think of this story? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Please leave me now what your thoughts are down in the comments below. I'm the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, if you guys happen to, want to go follow me on my media, such as Twitter, link to my Twitter account will be in the About page section, so you guys can go follow me on there. If you're interested in following my DeviantArt account, link to my DeviantArt will also be in the About page section, so you guys can go check that out. Also, if you're interested in subscribing to my backup channel known as Miss Dark Shigo, link to that will also be in the About page section, so you guys can go check that out. And as always, I'll be seeing you guys all in the next video. Peace out, and like always, please roll the outro because I'm out.